I almost yelled at my daughter once.
What?
And it didn't even rise to that. Sorry for all the married parents out there, but like, my God, is co-parenting the ultimate hack?
Well, how you've done it, I will say, is...
And in that moment was actually the first time I felt the love of fatherhood like pulse in my heart.
I'm Tony Cooper. I'm host of the Dad Manual podcast, and I am here today with one of my favorite dads, Shane. Will you introduce yourself, please?
My name is Shane Metcalf. I am a great dad, and I do have some wisdom to share.
Yes, those are both true statements. And I'm really excited for our conversation. You know, every dad has their own circumstances, and what I've seen you do as a father, and your kid is still pretty young, so you're still in your like learning everyday process. But like what I've seen from you has been really inspirational for me in terms of how people can really show up as the dad they want to be and also design their family how they want it to be. So thanks for being here. And I want to just start by having you tell me about your kid.
In general, I'm in a season of life where I feel like I'm winning in a lot of areas. You know, it's been a journey of struggle and perseverance to get where I am in kind of the whole picture. And yet also being a dad and doing family and raising my child who's she's almost 6. And that is just one area where I'm like, I am fucking crushing being a dad. Like, there's just no doubt
Fuck
about,
yeah.
I am so deeply proud of how I'm showing up as a father. And that feels really good. And obviously we want to have humility, because no doubt my kid is going to find all kinds of ways of like, you know, I hate you because this is what you didn't do, or whatever it is.
Yeah.
But I'm really thrilled at the choices that I've made and the work that I've put into my own self-development, my own healing, in order to show up the way that I am for her. And just really like getting that it's the relationship that I have with her now as a 5-year-old, as a 6-year-old, that is going to inform the relationship that we have for the rest of our lives.
Yeah.
It's not going to be like all of a sudden she's a teenager and out of nowhere her attachment style to me just appeared. Like, this is the foundation. The quality of how much she trusts me now is how much she's going to trust me as a 16-year-old, as a 36-year-old.
Mm-hmm.
And there's almost like a pressure to that of like, wow, like, don't half-ass it.
Right.
I want a lifelong friendship with my kid. I really hope that she's going to be thrilled to either stay close to home, which is such a funny thing. Before I had kids, I was like, oh man, you just have to like make it through 18 years and then you get rid of them. And now I'm like, oh shit. Like, I hope she wants to hang out with me way more than I wanted to hang out with my parents as an adult.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm sure she already does compare, age per age. There's gotta be much more of a desire in that. And, my parents used to tell me that, the biggest opportunity when your kids are young is making friends. They're like, you're never going to have a time in your life where it's going to be easier to make friends. And they were right. Like, I mean, you get to be friendly with all these parents of your kids' friends. But when you were just talking, I was like, actually, I think the biggest opportunity in when your kids are young and or growing, or when they're kids, when you're parenting, is your own growth, your own personal development.
Yeah.
And so, for you to be, Ava's 5, 6, something like that, for you to be going like, I'm crushing it already, definitely points to the work you did on yourself, the healing and the growth you did before becoming a dad. And then what would you say is different in the growth and work you've been doing and healing yourself since she's been born as opposed to before?
When we have kids, it's this incredible opportunity to revisit our entire childhood. And that there's almost like a fractal pattern of like, she's almost 6. And so it's like, who was I? What was happening in my childhood when I was 5, 6? What were the unmet needs? And so getting to redo my own childhood through
Yeah.
raising her is such a cool experience. And so, the audience is dad, so we all know this, but it's like the level of naivete about what it actually is to have a kid, before you have a kid, and we're just naive. We just don't
Yeah.
understand it, the level of full contact extreme sport that parenting is.
Yeah.
And that it is going to really reveal, like, where are our triggers, where are our anger issues, where are our impatience, where are our control issues.
Yeah.
And so the difference is, it's just like you have this little person that is going to reveal your shadows. It's a reality check. How much have I really tempered my temper? How
Uh,
much self control do I have when I'm negotiating with a terrorist? And all I want to do is use force to crush her will so that
yeah.
I can get out of the fucking house on time,
Right.
or get back in the car and drive on to my next thing that I actually need to do as an adult. I have real responsibilities.
Yeah.
And this person gives zero F's
Yeah.
about that.
Yeah.
And so it's, like, what's the difference? I mean, I feel like it's all a continuous stream, right? Like, evolution, growth, transformation never stops. It's always
Right.
something to do. I cannot rest on my laurels and be like, oh, I drank a bunch of ayahuasca in 2012, and I did some therapy, and I did some like healing work back then, and now I'm just coasting.
Yeah.
It is this constant invitation to keep working on ourselves. And not like, it doesn't have to be laborious self-development. It's just of like,
Yeah.
what would love do? How do
Well,
I how do I
too.
how do
Yeah.
I continue to lean in to being a kinder, gentler, more loving man,
Yeah.
as well as bringing in masculine authority and boundaries and
Yeah.
guidance, and not just giving in to the demands of the terrorist who has
Yeah.
nothing else to do all day than you know like negotiate as hard as they possibly can in order to get what they want.
Yeah, great life skills. Just don't apply them to me, right? I
Yeah,
want you to have those. It's not inside of our family dynamic. And the idea of like healthy versus unhealthy masculinity. And so, as you're talking about that, your kids trigger you, your kid triggers you, your natural response is you get angry, you get tense, your body gets flooded with adrenaline, and what the advantages you have are. You're bigger, you're stronger, you're louder, you have more anger. And you were raised, I don't know how you were raised, Shane, but you know it's embedded in us like that. I think the thing that I like what you said, and I want to dig in a little more about, like, you get to look at your childhood through the lens of the child, and you're like, man, just stuff comes out of you, and you're like, where the fuck did that come from? And it was so easy. It was like, it seemed like the right thing to do, but it's like, man, that happened to me, I'm passing it on. And so I love what you said, is like, what would love do? That's a great, like, if you catch yourself doing it, that's a huge fucking, what a
yeah.
great question to ask yourself in the moment. What was it like? What did you see when you started seeing your 6-year-old self, like, come back into your mind's eye as you're watching your 6-year-old happen? What did you see from your childhood? And
For me, it was like, okay, what were the needs that I didn't have met as a kid?
were you clear about that? Did you know that going into parenting?
Yeah, I was pretty clear.
And
Uh,
what was some of that
yeah, I
you?
mean, like, proactive dental care. Like the two commitments I made, like, so, 'cause I
Hmm.
had a fuckload of dental problems as a kid,
Hmm.
and it
Okay.
was misery. It was
Yeah.
absolute terror, right?
Hmm.
Being a young child and having an abscess, and
Hmm.
not having, my family, my parents, bless them, right? Like, they're incredible humans, and they rejected kind of middle upper class Americana culture in order to go on their own spiritual journeys, and they kind of
Okay.
rejected materialism. They thought that was the path to truth. And there's some validity to that, but it
Mm.
also left them really broke
Mm.
and scrambling to just have the basic physical needs covered.
Right.
And so, like, two that come to mind was like dental care and swimming, right? Like I had to learn how to swim as an adult,
Uh-huh.
and it continues to be my journey. And like, what a rewarding! I love swimming so much. I love water. It was like, okay, my kid is gonna have. We're gonna take great care of her teeth, and she's gonna learn to fucking swim.
And are
And
there check boxes? How are the teeth and how's the swimming?
not a single cavity,
Okay.
which is
Great.
the only one of her peers that I know. Like,
Right.
like that's not that common. And she is, I can throw her in the deep end and walk away and hop on a Zoom call and do a podcast. And she's gonna be great. And so I'm so proud of that. And there's
Yeah.
a way that it's like that. I give that gift to myself.
Mhm.
I get to revisit, I get to like heal my own inner child who didn't get those things by seeing my spawn thrive in those ways.
Right.
And that's just the coolest thing.
Huh.
It's, because I think it's like we all are doing our best, right? Like my dad broke the generational cycle of physical abuse,
Yep.
right? I think my dad spanked me once,
Okay.
scared the fuck out of me.
Right.
But there was a lot of verbal abuse in our family,
Yeah.
right? There was so much yelling. There was so much just like, using anger and voice and yelling to try to control. And, like God bless them. They had 3 boys,
Hmm.
and man, like insanity,
Yeah.
absolute insanity.
Yeah.
Uh, but he never really physically abused us. And I am like, one of the things I may be the most proud of as a father is I almost yelled at my daughter once.
What?
And it didn't even rise to that. And I've never yelled at my daughter. And it's not like she's just, an easy kid all the time. Like,
Uh-huh.
my God, is she a strong-willed
Right.
child who has her deeply irrational feelings and desires and lines in the sand that she says she's going to die on.
Right. All right, Shane, walk me through the process though, because I know the impulse is there, right? Certainly it was embedded in you. So it's just in your unconscious. And there's a certain point of like frustration arises and then it starts to rise up in you, probably before you're even noticing it. What do you do to prevent it?
Well, I just go yell at her mom. uh, I just take it out on other
Perfect.
people. Like it's interesting because there was like a almost just an internal decision I made that I'm just not going to do that because I know it's not actually going to be effective. And props to the book Hunt, Gather, Parent, which if anybody hasn't read it, highly recommend it. It's probably my favorite parenting book out there.
Awesome.
And it's this woman who goes and lives with a couple of different indigenous tribes around the world and learns about their parenting. And phenomenal book, really, really just dripping in wisdom. And obviously, there's things that I've applied and things that I haven't applied. But one of the things that really stood out to me was the Inuit. So she goes and lives with an Inuit tribe and learns about how they parent. And their culture is like the most gentle form of parenting. There's a lot of wisdom in it, but one of the things that really stood out to me was that like when you use anger or yelling to try to influence your children, they just stop listening to you.
Mm.
And then you just have to escalate it further, and you might get compliance to some
Hmm.
degree. But I think that it starts to break that trust, and they're like, "Fuck you."
Yeah.
Like, whatever, I'll do the minimum effective dose to get you off my back,
Yeah.
and then I'm just going to stop telling you the truth,
And
and I'm
just
not,
harbor
I'm not
resentment.
going to listen to you. The moment you raise your voice, I'm going to stop listening. And that one really hit, and I
Yeah.
think for me growing up where there was a lot of yelling, it's just like, yeah, that was really damaging.
Yeah.
And so I just made that internal decision, like, okay, I'm just not going to yell at my daughter. And like I've started to redline before, like
Mhm.
mostly when like she won't get in the car seat or wouldn't get in the car seat. And it's like, I have places to go, you little shit,
Yeah.
and just melting down. And, but I'm able to come back from that edge. And it really was an internal decision I made. Like, that is not how I'm going to parent.
Yeah.
And it's not like I don't have fire and anger. And it's like, I wish I could have done that with her mom. I wish that I had never raised my voice with her, because
Mm,
in the moment, it seems like, yeah, this makes a ton of sense. Like, this is how I'm going to be heard.
right.
And lo and behold, I'd actually never worked with her mom either.
Right. I don't know who it does work with. I don't
Right.
think it
Yeah, exactly. It's like, do we listen when people yell at us? No.
it's definitely the biggest scars I carry from my childhood. And like as you were talking through that, it was like I think I had about a very similar experience as yours. And I was like, would I have preferred more actual physical beatings than the yellings that I got? Maybe, because
Yeah.
those wounds heal a lot faster, I think.
Yeah, yeah, right. There like, mental, like verbal and emotional wounding shows up on the brain apparently in a similar way as physical abuse.
Yeah.
And so, it's that one I'm really proud of,
Yeah.
because it's not, I don't think that's that common. Like, I have a
Yeah.
lot of friends and I know they lose their shit on their kids sometimes. And I'm just
Yeah.
like, I have never lost my shit on my kid.
Wow.
And that's like part of where I feel like I'm just like really winning is in being a dad, is that it's like I've done enough work on myself to overcome the primal instinct to use force,
Right.
to use anger.
Right.
And,
To just dominate, to subdue the other, the
yeah.
opponent in that situation.
And so I also, like, I'm separated and co-parenting, and like low key, sorry for all the married parents out there, but like, my God, is co-parenting the ultimate hack for
Well,
raising?
how you've done it, I will say,
Yeah,
is, and I
I
definitely, it's extraordinary what you and Ollie have created.
yeah.
And so, yeah, I'd love to hear. I mean, I know of it somewhat, but I'd love to hear about like how you got there, because I know it was not an easy path,
Yeah.
and where you've gotten to is just, like,
Yeah, I am. That's another thing we're really, really proud of, because we get to be best friends, and we get to keep loving each other and being a family and hang out and do holidays together and travel together and party together and keep our community together and intact, and not
right,
like create the weird division that can
right.
happen.
Nobody had to pick friends at the end of it all.
Yeah. And yeah, my God, did that take a lot of work. And we were together for 14 years. And those last years where we were really like, okay, like, there's deep things that aren't working, and can we make it work? And we invested a lot of energy into how do we heal our relationship. And
Yeah,
while ultimately we still chose separation,
right.
every ounce of effort we put into learning how to listen better, right? How to listen to not respond, but listen to understand. How to all the frameworks of Gottman and the Four Horsemen, and um, you know, we did, I mean, hundreds of hours of therapy and coaching. And what I realize now is that, like, wow, that was the best investment for now
Mm,
this new relationship we have as deeply loving, affectionate co-parents.
yeah,
I still love her. I'm still like, and that's as it's been about 18 months, and as the pain and the resentments and the unmet needs, like, those all fade into the background, what remains is devotion. Is,
yeah,
oh wow, I actually still love her, and I want her to thrive just as I've always wanted her to thrive,
yeah,
and I don't need to throw that out. But it it didn't come by accident, right? It came from years of us having a shared value system around transformation is one actual thing.
yeah.
And
Uh-huh.
that's a really big one, is we both are committed to doing our work. And that has made all the difference, because it
Yeah,
allows us to both be accountable. And yeah, we slip into our hurt, wounded parts here and there. But like, man, like, we have, like, the tracker. At the end of our marriage, we were like joking about having a, like, like, in a factory, like, days since last accident. It was like days since last horrible fight. And
it's
we'd like, we made it to 3 days. And
yeah,
now it's months and months and months
yeah,
of real harmony. And man, there's just nothing better than having a partner where you get to share the irrational obsession of your child with another person who really gets it. other people, right? Close friends that love your kids, that's really cool. Parents, really cool. But the person that you co-created that being with, and to
Yeah.
get to still maintain that open channel of sending the pics and laughing about the weird shit they do and talking about how incredible they are, that is just so
Mhm.
fun.
I mean, the fact that you still love each other, you still trust each other, you're continuing to build on your relationship. And you know what I watched you guys to go through was it seemed to me that you were as intentional at ending the relationship as most people are at starting a relationship,
Mm.
like building it up, building towards something, and all the intention you put into like a wedding or a ceremony or a birth. And you guys really put a significant amount of effort into unwinding what you had to create something new, which I've just not seen a really great example of that before.
Yeah.
You guys
Oh my
really.
God. I mean, we are bound for life, you know? And
Yeah.
it's, I've seen plenty of examples of people that just like go to the scorched earth
Yeah.
approach, and it's understandable. And I had moments of that, and where like so hurt, so misunderstood. And it's just like, okay, cool. You want to go to war? I'll fucking go to war.
Yeah.
And it's tempting. It was so like,
Yeah.
oh, there's an intoxication
Yeah.
to that. And I'm really grateful because it just, man, none of us need more fighting and drama in our lives. And also, it's like that's where kids in divorce can get really fucked up.
Yeah.
That's where kids in families get fucked up, is when
Hmm.
mom and dad aren't aren't operating out of a high balance in the love bank, and there's just so much emotional debt that's being carried.
Yeah.
That's then what we pass on to the kids. And so it's like, yeah, how do we smart about this?
And
Because
they internalize it and they make it about them, even though it has nothing to do about them. So,
yeah,
how did you guys navigate Ava's experience through it?
we started out by doing the nesting model where we kept one house where she stayed for the first 6 months, and me and my wife were moving in and out of. So we would just split the week. We do
Uh-huh.
a 2255 model: 2 days on, 2 days off, 5 days on, 5 days off, which is a
Oh,
phenomenal way of
wow.
co-parenting.
Okay.
Like they it's like enough time to like actually have some freedom and go do real things, but also it's not so much time that the kid starts to lose attachment to that parent.
Right.
And so we did that for the first 6 months, so it was a really easy transition. And then we kept doing our own work and counseling, and just like making sure that we were addressing the things that needed to be addressed.
But how old was she at the time?
She was 4.
Okay. So there's probably not a whole lot of
No, there
understanding.
wasn't like intellectual processing of it. We knew that
Right.
it was going to be our emotional energy
Yeah.
that she would pick up on.
Yeah.
And my God, our girl is, we're looking for like, okay, where are the signs of dysregulation?
Hmm.
Where might she be acting out? Um, and for everything we can tell, she is just like thriving in this. She loves having 2 rooms. She
Hmm.
doesn't like put up a fight when it's time to make the transition. Um, yeah, so I got to give a lot of credit to her, to our daughter,
Yeah.
because I think her capacity to roll with it as well. And then I think
Yeah.
that another amazing thing about co-parenting, and yes, to like co-parenting is a lot easier when you get to do it with your best friend and not your worst enemy.
Right.
Um, but also like the mega upside to it, and why it's like, I think people shouldn't be overly attached to spending the rest of their lives with the person that they have a kid with.
Yeah.
Like, I get to be an adult half the time. I get to resource myself and reclaim those parts of me and go be a bachelor and date and have friends and travel and sleep in, and like all the things that we get to do when we're not parents.
Right.
I regain half of my life
Right.
as not a parent. And I always try to like it's funny because it's like, a lot of people are in unhappy marriages.
Yes.
and staying together for the kids.
Right.
And look, I'm a huge fan of like do everything you can to stay in a relationship and use the pain that it elicits as an access point for your own healing. And I think a lot of us like hit the eject button prematurely on relationships before we've really alchemized the triggers that are getting discovered.
Yeah.
And it's relationship is a cauldron of transformation. Relationship is this remarkable place we get to do our deepest healing because it
Yeah.
hits on the core things. But if you've done that and it's still like, yeah, like there's not alignment, don't be afraid of being a single parent. And obviously sometimes like, doesn't always, the cookie doesn't crumble into like a harmonious 50-50. And I get that, right? So I'm more speaking to the possibility of coming into alignment with what the relationship wants to be now.
Yeah.
Yeah, like it feels like the ultimate parenting hack is like divorce your partner.
Remain best friends. Yeah.
Remain best friends. Yeah, be generous in spirit
Yeah.
and everything else,
Yeah.
and regain some degree of freedom that parenting inherently takes away.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a pipe dream, like in for a married person who's just like the idea of like, man, I would love to just have a little bit of time like myself, which you really, which is possible, I guess. Now I think
Well, yeah,
about it, like with
something.
intention.
Yeah, I have this conversation with a lot of my friends who are married and don't want to get divorced. How do you how do you not be codependent in parenting and in marriage?
Mm,
I mean
hmm.
that's a hell of a question,
It's a
right?
big
Like
question.
like because I found single parenting actually easier than parenting together
Okay,
because you're not
it's
what
not
happens so
committing.
often is okay, if you're parenting, then I'm parenting. And if
Uh
I'm
huh.
parenting, then you're parenting. And we have to do it all together and we have to suffer equally and love equally. I mean, like we all know the suffering part as well. And it's like, no, like learn from the co-parents, like take
Yeah.
weekends, like what's the baby steps where every week one of you gets a full free day from the obligations of parenting.
Yeah.
And I'm convinced there is like somebody needs to write a book about how to like get some of the benefits of co-parenting
Yeah.
in a marriage, in a family, a whole unit.
Well, that somebody might be you.
Yeah, yeah, we'll
I don't
see.
know that I many people because you really
But I
have.
mean, I feel like I don't think it is me because I think it needs to be somebody who is still with their partner and their parent.
Yeah,
That
but yes, but you've achieved something that most people don't, and you can reverse engineer it back into like, what could I have done when I was married? So you do have all the ground that was covered. The other benefit, because all that it sounds great, but the other benefit is that you each individually get to develop a relationship with your kid.
yeah,
Because most kids relate to mom and dad, or mom and mom, or dad and whatever your relationship is. It's a collective. Like you're the kid, and they're like the executive team.
yeah.
But being able to have that one-on-one development of relationship is really like, I mean, sure, she has a very different relationship with you than Alia.
I think it's really amazing as a dad because obviously there's plenty of exceptions to this, but I think in general, children want mom more than they want dad,
Yeah.
right? Like
Yep.
it's just like who
Especially
wouldn't?
early on. Yeah.
Yeah, who wouldn't want the mother, the unconditional, loving presence of the mother
Hmm.
than dad? And and like and again, like that's a massive generalization, but
Well, I mean, biologically, I grew inside of my mother. I was
yeah,
nourished by my mother. I was nurtured by my mother in most cases. Like
yeah.
it's in your DNA.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so getting so much one-on-one time with my daughter is profoundly beneficial for our relationship
Yeah.
because I get to then be the safe haven.
Yeah.
I get to be the mother in some sense.
Uh huh. How does that show up? What do you mean by that?
Yeah, just that like if she hurts herself,
Uh huh. The thing that
she'll
normally she would go to mom to, she goes to
yeah,
you. Yeah,
exactly.
I got you.
Exactly. I get to be that safe haven.
Right.
We get to like, and so I would say that, and I've always felt close to my daughter. I know some men, it takes a while till the baby smiles or starts talking to form a relationship. I've, from day one. I mean, another part of our journey is it took us many years to get pregnant, and so we had like a lot of
Mm-hmm.
chances to like, okay, yeah, let's not be parents.
Mm-hmm.
Let's get the 2-seater sports car and travel the
Mm-hmm.
world. You know,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
you know, there's something to that.
Not a bad option.
But we really wanted our kid, and we chose her again and again and again. In fact, this is actually a fun story that I'll just relate because it feels, like just the power of being a parent is that there's a couple of years into trying to get pregnant and, the ups and the downs of that. And there's a moment of real like hopelessness. And I had this experience where I had a thought experiment.
Like a hopelessness, like is there something wrong with me? Hopelessness, or like this will never happen. I'll
Yeah,
never get
like
to
this
live a
will
life.
like maybe this won't happen.
Uh huh. Uh huh.
Maybe the cars that we have just aren't going to be a winning hand
Yeah.
for having a kid. And I had this thought, like it was almost like a vision thought experiment where I was like, if my kid was already alive and they were in the hospital
Yeah.
and they had some kind of a terminal illness or injury or something, I would do everything in my power to keep my child alive.
Yeah.
I would not listen to statistics, and I would bend reality
Yeah.
to support my child being alive. And
100%.
in that moment, I realized that that's what, like, I wasn't going to stop loving my child into existence. And in that moment was actually the first time I felt the love of fatherhood like pulse in my heart.
Wow.
And I was like, whoa,
Wow.
like she's already teaching me how to love.
Yeah. Yeah. Oof. That's that's some deep shit, man. That is beautiful. Like that. Like that. That's the agree. That like the fulfilling of the contract. You're like, all right, I'm ready. Like that was a signal to the spirit world. Like, all
Yeah.
right, I'm ready now. I can do this.
And that makes me think of another one of the ways that things that I do when I'm like annoyed as hell with her is a thought experiment of like, if I came from the future, if a future version of myself time traveled back to this day and said, this will be the last day you ever get to spend with your kid, because
Uh-huh.
either you die or they die tomorrow,
Mm-hmm.
get present to that. And then it's just like, oh yeah, drops the bullshit. And I'm like, wow, I love you so much. How
Yeah.
do I build the bridge of connection?
Yeah. And I imagine that that's probably an easier thought experiment as a co-parent because you actually do have these times where she's not there and like you can make that mean whatever you want to make that mean and you could drop fear into that and you can easily go like, oh shit, what if those 5 days that I wasn't with her never ended?
Yeah.
Like that. Whereas like it would have to really be, I really appreciate that exercise. It's a really good one. So as a parent who's like, man, part of it, like especially as it goes on years and years and years, your kids are just always there. And while you totally love them, and like there's a certain point of like there's just a enoughness to it. Like, okay, I've had enough
Totally.
already,
Yeah.
you know?
It's it's really nice to miss our kids.
Yeah,
A
yeah.
really sweet flavor.
But I love what you're suggesting is like in that moment where I'm like, all right, enough. I don't need to hear about this anymore. I'm like annoyed or whatever. To drop in and like, if it were my last day, would I entertain that feeling that I just had? And you'd
Yeah.
be like, no fucking way. Like, that's a beautiful. That's talk about
But
a
it's,
hack.
I mean, it's not very different from like the death awareness
Mhm.
as a kind of foundational spiritual practice,
Yeah.
right? Memento mori. Remember, you too will die.
Hmm.
Just of like, yeah, like tomorrow is not given, right? So like, we don't need to be parents to use this, right? It's just of like, holy shit, I am alive today.
Yeah.
And am I going to take my life for granted and just be caught up in the bullshit of life? Or am I going to like open my eyes and take a pause and feel the sweetness of air filling my lungs and breathing life into me? And I get to do the things I get to do everything because I'm alive.
Yeah.
And so,
Gratitude. Yeah.
yeah, so like I think just like keeping that perspective is not only a good thing for a happy life, but
Yeah.
really good for parenting.
Very good for parenting. So I'm a big believer in the like absoluteness of 7 year cycles and like how we complete things in that time period. And I was just going like you and Ollie were together for 14 years, so 2 full cycles. So like, that's always the option at the end of a 7 year cycle is like, do we want to continue this or not? And I think it's really healthy to be able to go like, we've completed what we set out to do. And now it's up to us to generate whatever the next 7 year cycle would be. So the fact that you guys decided let's do something different tracks. And then I'm going, all right, now Ava is almost 7, right? So you're completing your first 7 years with her. And so I know how much you prepared yourself and brought intention into what it's gonna be like to have a kid, but you're gonna have a different kid for the next 7 years. So what are you thinking about that? How are you preparing for what this next iteration of her life is gonna be in that next 7 year cycle?
Yeah. One of the things that is interesting that feels like it's coming online is like taking a more masculine approach to parenting,
Uh-huh.
meaning holding stronger boundaries with her.
Uh-huh.
Not like doing family dinners and it not being as casual as it's been. Not being afraid of her melting down when she doesn't get what she wants
Yeah.
when I'm holding a boundary. So it's actually, for me, it feels like bringing in healthy boundaries
Mm-hmm.
is part of what this next 7 year cycle is about.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously, like not being overly rigid because like we want boundaries to be in service of something and not just because I'm the man and listen to me and this is my house.
Yeah.
Um, like holding her to lean into the discomfort
Mm-hmm.
more encouragement around doing things that scare her or that are uncomfortable. And that's it's a balance of like how do we allow them agency to pursue the things that they really love
Yeah.
and that excite them and that they find natural, while also not just giving into like, well, you don't want to do more swim lessons or you don't want to do swim teams, so fine, whatever, I'll just back off. But
Mm-hmm.
nope, this is what we're doing.
Yeah.
And,
And I
and
think that,
there's a balance because I think there needs to be a really deep listening
yeah.
inside of that as well, so that we aren't just shaping our kids into who we want them to be, but we're really listening for who are they and who do they want to be, and provide enough control that it goes in the right direction while not slipping over into our own agenda.
What's particularly I found interesting in this second 7 year cycle is like that's the emergence of ego. So up until this point, she's kind of operated without ego and almost operated without clear identity of herself. And
Yeah.
that's what changes is she starts becoming herself and with an ego. And what you just said is really really powerful because the ego, the I, the identity wants to feel that they have some ability to be part of manifesting their reality. And
Yeah.
so I like what you're saying a lot in terms of like it's yes, there's different boundaries and lines that have to get drawn because she's gonna, now looking to explore more. And to be able to do that, like they have logic and they have reason in a way and can converse in a way. And you're a great communicator, her mother's a great communicator, and so like all of that, she's probably way ahead of her peers in her ability to hold a real conversation, but also be aware of herself, her needs, her emotions, and being able to elicit those. And we're not you're co-designing, but you're not like co-deciding.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so that's I really I think you're leaning in the right direction in that, and I'm so
And I
interested.
mean, like, and the fascinating thing about parenting is it's always a mystery. It's like,
Yeah,
I don't I have no clue
right.
what my strategy is going to be for the next 7 year cycle.
Yeah,
Right. As like from 7 to 14 is such a rich place of like in one system I really like the gene keys. Like they talk about like 1 to 7 or 0 to 7 is like the physical body and the spirit are essentially being developed. And
Okay.
then 7 to 14 is the emotional body. That's where her EQ is forged.
Uh-huh.
And then 14 to 21 is IQ. And
Uh-huh.
obviously, these all like play into each other. But
Right.
I have a tension of like, oh yeah, like as she gets that ego, as she has that deeper sense of self, and her emotional body is really forming, is like,
Mm-hmm.
ooh, how do I roll with those punches? And
Mm-hmm.
almost 6-year-old girl is just heaven. A 14-year-old girl, I have no
Yeah.
clue. And
Yeah.
like nobody does, because every kid is so unique, right?
Yeah.
I have such an appreciation for nature over nurture.
Yeah. What's your take on that?
I think we really do come in with something coded.
Yeah.
And obviously there's epigenetics, and so it's like there's so many distant echoes of behavioral imprinting and nurture that are coming down the line and forming who we are, that are so out of our control as
Yeah.
parents. But it's
Yeah.
like, I don't know, like she has her own personality. Me and her mom are very extroverted, very very social people. She is so introverted, like still will like barely talk to almost every adult that hasn't made it into her inner circle,
Yeah.
and and is just unapologetic about it.
Yeah.
Like gives no fucks. There's no people pleasing. He isn't like, oh, you're trying to talk to me. Well, I guess I'll like entertain you by saying hi. She's like,
Uh-huh.
you don't exist.
So what's the nurture component then? So she's this nature, this force of nature. Like what's the nurture component?
Yeah. Well, I mean, on this one, and this gets to be, it's this balance of like, see, like holding her is perfect. Like being like, cool, you don't want to talk to people you don't want to talk to. Nothing wrong with that.
Mm-hmm.
While simultaneously really pushing her out of her comfort, like encouraging her out of her comfort zone.
Yeah. Yeah.
So helping her understand that if she wants to be an actress and perform in the Frozen musical, well, actresses usually need to talk to other adults.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
This is a
Right.
real conversation we had. And she's like, huh,
Yeah.
all right, I'll consider it. Like, that makes sense.
Nice.
And
What I love about that chain is that you're connecting to a change in behavior they're looking to foster, but connecting to her intention and her desire, what she wants, not just like society needs you to be, or it'd be rude if, like, you're really channeling it into her own desires. That's powerful.
yeah, and then nurture is our attachment style. Like, are we there? Do we meet her emotional needs? Do we have we had a lot of actual physical skin to skin contact?
Yeah.
Do we repair with her? Do we listen to her? Do we treat her big feelings as something that needs to be fixed versus like actually have capacity to let her feel her feelings all the
Uh-huh.
way through? And I think also nurture is like physical play. We talked a little bit about that,
Yeah.
and up is like I love roughhousing with her and all of her girlfriends.
Yeah.
I
And that's
love,
usually like everyone usually talks about that with their sons, but
yeah,
yeah, but you're talking with girls.
yeah, and like we go hard. Like her and her little friends are like bloodthirsty ninjas out for murder, and like I'll like take 4 or 5 of them on at a time, and it's like, and I don't hold back really. Like I'm throwing them, and like I play pretty rough with them,
And
and
they
they
love it.
love it,
Yeah.
right?
Like
Like
why do you think that's not happening in the life of most girls? Like clearly if the evidence is they love it, not all of them, but if they love it, why isn't it happening more?
like I'm like, look, I mean, I am a bit of a genderist on some degree, right? Of like, we never encouraged anything around princesses and pink. My
Yeah.
girl
Yeah.
loves princesses and the
Uh-huh.
color pink.
Yeah.
But I do think that we fall into this like, oh, we can roughhouse with boys, but like, you need to be gentle with girls.
Right.
And I don't know, like I think that's an outdated myth. It just feels intuitive and natural to
Yeah.
to to play full out and be really physical
Yeah.
with her. And yeah, she loves it. She can't get enough. And I just encourage all the dads out there, like roughhouse with your
Yeah.
kids as much as you possibly can. Don't buy them toys, right? Buy a balloon and play keepy uppy. and yeah, like whatever it is, like the physicality, I think, especially in the early years,
Mm-hmm.
is so important for embodiment. And of course, we have to be embodied ourselves to do that.
Right.
We have
Right.
to know, we have to be able to feel our own body in order to know where the edge is and where too much is too much. And
Yeah.
and that's why it's all like, it's so beautiful. Like we have kids, we think that we're here to raise them, but really, like, they're here to raise us. They're here to grow us up,
Yeah.
for us to become a more integrated version of ourselves, to reclaim lost, fragmented inner children that are running amok in our own house, and feed them and take them to the dentist and give them swimming lessons so that we can actually be more integrated adults.
This has been great, Shane. I really just been fascinated by this conversation. I want to wrap it up, and I want you to think about maybe yourself before you became a dad, or any of the new dads listening who are looking for just some guidance, tips, advice on how to start what their fathering journey is. And so, what advice would you have for a brand new dad?
Worship the ground that their mothers walk on.
Boom.
Yeah, we have all of our things that drive us crazy, uh,
Mm-hmm.
about moms,
Yeah.
about their mom, but they are the vessel that makes us a father. They they are the irreproducible piece of the puzzle
Mm-hmm.
that allows us the gift of having children in our lives, and that is worthy of real respect and love. And so that is like one of the first ones, is like, nurture mom, like get good at understanding each other's needs and have it map out the needs of each other, and then get good at meeting them. It's just like
Mm-hmm.
basic economics. You want a happy relationship, like make more deposits into the love bank than you make withdrawals. And you need the map. You need the understanding of what are the things that actually are deposits and what are the things that are withdrawals. When you master that, you'll have a fucking great relationship and you can stay in romantic love for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
Easier said than done.
But that's I mean, this is about growth. This is about getting ourselves out of our own way to have what we want and raise amazing kids and have incredible families. And so that's beautiful. That's
Yeah.
beautiful.
And it's like don't give up on sex. Don't let
Mhm.
the marriage slip into sexlessness,
Yeah.
right? Be a stand
Yeah.
for that.
100.
Be a stand for your own needs in the relationship. Be a stand for your partner's needs. Don't take it personally when 98% of your partner's attention goes to the baby for a while.
Yeah. There's more for you to work on for yourself. That's your
Yeah.
own woundedness that has a
Yeah.
problem with that.
Yes, and it sucks. And it can suck because it's like, I was the center of the universe.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden I'm like a moon if I'm lucky.
Yeah. You're a footnote.
And
Yeah.
that changes. Like, that's the beauty of
Yeah.
parenting, is the moment you think it's like, cool, we found a routine, or things are the way they're going to be, it changes.
Changes. It's always
And so,
changing.
like, trust the process,
Yeah.
open your own heart, do your inner work, you know, keep doing the inner work, and just, God, enjoy the ride, because what a beautiful contribution into any adult's life it is to have a child in it, filling it with the pure, innocent joy, creativity, brilliance, beauty, irrationality, imagination that
Yeah.
kids can bring into our lives, and make them a lot better if we allow them.
Look, I have absolutely loved our conversation. I love you, brother. Thank you for taking the time to share all of that. I just really appreciate you and appreciate you taking the time.
Yeah, and I love this idea. There's a lot of dads out there. You got a huge market,
Yeah, it's true.
and there's not that many conversations. I was thinking about it as, like, often parenting conversations end up as like a side note in a conversation of like, oh, how
Mhm.
are the kids, and little moments or with other parents. But thank you for making the space to get to really express the richness and complexity and magic of parenting.
My pleasure. And until next time, because we'll definitely be in next time. Thank you.
All right. See you, Tony.
Bye. Thanks so much for listening to this episode of the Dad Manual Podcast. If you liked it, please leave us a rating or subscribe to our YouTube channel. And if you really liked it, please share it with a dad you love. I'm looking to grow a community of fathers who are ready to change the world, and I need your help to do that. And if you got questions or topics you want me to explore, email them to me at thedadmanual@gmail.com. I would love to answer your questions on our next episode. Until next time, I'm Tony Cooper, and this is the Dad Manual Podcast.